this is Cheri at djsundry.blogspot.com, and today I have another Valentine project for you. So rather than talking about it, let's just jump right in and I'll show you what we're doing. Let me show you what we're going to be using. We're using from K100 Designs, we're using the It's Valentine stamp set, and for this one I used the one that says Love You So Much. And I stamped that in my project using the archival ink from Ranger in black. Just put this stuff aside. I have these doilies from Allen Thistle. Let's see, these are the French style doilies in white. Now I didn't want them to be in white, and so I used my Glimmer Mist from Tattered Angels. I used Cherub Pink. I actually sprayed it in both Cherub Pink and then I did another one in Candy Apple Red to decide which one I wanted to use, and I felt like the Cherub Pink was the better match. I'm using this Fancy Pants paper pack, and yes, it is really falling apart. In fact, it broke in half while I was working with it today because I'm using so much of it. The papers that I'm using from that are these two papers, this little chevron, or not chevron, but like a houndstooth print, and then this is like a book plate print. It's got pinks and grays and stuff. And then I also have another one for the inside of the card, and I'll show that to you when we get to it. I am using, probably, I haven't decided for sure, some of these Say It in Pearls Bling from Prima. They're kind of a grayish white, and I think the gray will pull out a lot of the gray in the papers, which I think will be a very pretty combination. I made a bow using my 3 Girl Jam bow maker, and I made that off a oops, I just messed it up. I made it off camera. I made a double bow, and I used my 3 Girl Jam bow maker to make that. And the ribbon that I used was Christmas Candy crinkle ribbon, also from 3 Girl Jam. And so then I have this stick pin that I got at Christmas time in a swap. It's actually a little angel type pin, but I just thought it was pretty, and it has that deep ruby red that is a good color match for the papers that I'm using. You may remember early, probably one of the first or second Valentine's posts in this series, I made Twinchies. I'm actually going to be using one of my Twinchies on this project. And then this is the doily and what it looks like sprayed with that Cherub Pink Glimmer spray. And it's got a lot of sparkle to it. I may cut it. I haven't really decided yet what I'm going to do with it. I'll also be using some foam tape. So let's get started. Now I've already started the card. I have the red paper that I've been using through a good portion of this series from the Paper Studio from Hobby Lobby. And this is my very last half sheet of this kind of burgundy card base color. And I've made an A2 size card, meaning I cut my 8.5 by 11 sheet piece of paper to be 8.5 inches wide by 5.5 inches tall. I scored it at 4 1/4 to make a 4 1/4 by 8.5 inch card. Now my original plan was to do a card in this direction, which really would have been my preference. However, when I cut my paper, I made a mistake and cut my book plate paper the wrong direction, and I didn't want to waste the paper. The inside of the card is already finished, and this is where I've done my stamping. Now this is another page from the Love Note Stack by Fancy Pants, and I just cut it to be 4 inches wide by 5 1/4 inches tall, and this is where I stamped my Love You So Much, which you see what a nice match it is for the little bit of black in here. And that's all I'm doing to the inside. I did corner around it using my corner chomper from We Are Memory Keepers, and I used the 1/4 inch corner, and that's what I did with my papers. Now let's move on to the outside of the card. I have 2 pieces of paper here. One is my houndstooth piece of paper, and then the other one is my book plate paper. And you can see how it wouldn't have worked if I had cut it the other way. It would have worked if I had cut it the other way, but laying it that way would look funny because the book's going across this way. So I've cut this one at 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches, and then this one is just smaller at 3 3/4 inches wide by 5 inches tall. And I've corner rounded them as well. But I want to do something first. Now because this is going as the base sheet here, just like this, I didn't really want to lose all this paper that's just going to be covered up. And so I decided I was going to cut out the middle so I can save it for another project sometime. So what I've done on the back is I've drawn a grid. I've come in a 1/2 inch all the way around, and I'm going to use my paper cutter. We're going to try this. I've not tried it before, but it should work. I'm going to line up my paper cutter right on that grid that I've drawn. I'm going to raise up my blade so I can see it, and then I'm going to come down and I'm going to cut the inside of my paper so that I can save that middle for something else. So again, we're just going to come so that we can save it for something else. This houndstooth paper is so pretty, and houndstooth is so popular, and just because it's red, I don't have to use it for Valentine's. So I thought, well, I'm going to use it for other things. Maybe I'll use it for a birthday card down the line. Who knows? But I thought there's no sense wasting that piece of paper. So now I've cut that. I'm going to get my cutter bees here because I don't think I've cut it cleanly all the way through, and I have not. So I'm going to just see where I need to trim, and I'm going to trim to that spot. That one. Let's see. This one. And I know that that seems like that's a whole lot of work for just that little tiny piece of paper, but you can do so much with little tiny pieces of paper like that. And really add layers and things. You can use your spellbinders, and you can just do a lot with it, so we might as well save it and not let it go to waste. So now I'm ready to attach this to the front of my card. It's kind of the same concept that I showed several days ago when I did my bulletin board and I cut out the centers of my heart. Same concept, different tool, but same concept. And by the time we're all done, you will never know. Although honestly, this would kind of make a pretty frame as well. And I did not get that straight. One of the challenges of shooting videos is being able to get on top of your projects to line them up to get them straight. Okay, there we have it. Although that would be pretty in and of itself, it's such a great match there. But then when I pull this sheet over, you'll never know that the middle's gone. Now we're going to set the card base aside, and now we're going to start layering up our middle. And the reason why is because I'm not sure but what I may want to add some more ribbon to it. So if I do, I want to have the flexibility to bring it around. And so that's why I'm not quite, that's why I left long tails on my bow, and why I'm not ready to adhere it all down until I get it layered to see exactly what the plan is with this. I may decide it's just fine as it is. Now that pink is not the perfect pink match for everything, but it's still quite lovely, and I think it will work just fine. Okay, so now that I've started putting my layers on, I realize that I don't need extra ribbon. So let's go ahead and adhere this down, because it will be very difficult to add the extra adhesive to the back of this if I wait until it's all done. And just layer that up just like so. Okay, just like that. And then we'll start putting our elements on. I had planned to maybe do just part of the doily and cut the doily off. But now that I see it all on there, I think I'm going to do the whole thing. Now when you're dealing with these doilies, you want to be careful because they are paper doilies and they're very delicate. And you don't want, you could even use glue dots like your Tombow Mono, or maybe your glossy accents or your Scotch Quick Dry to put that on, and it might be a little bit safer. And I'm not doing the edges. I like the free floating, and this particular card is not being milled, so I'm not too concerned about it not withstanding a trip. So let's pull out our bling here. And we'll put the rest of these elements on. Now I decided I wanted to do this with foam tape so that my stick pin will stick behind it. But I think what I want to do is I want to take my corner rounder, or my corner chomper from Crocodile, and I think what I want to do is on the top, I want to do an 1/8 inch corner chomp, just to mimic the curves in the card. And it's very subtle, but that'll help us mimic the curves. And then I think I also want to put this up on 2 thicknesses of foam tape so that I can have that little extra dimension to the top of my Twinchy. And it doesn't matter since it's not being mailed, I don't have to worry about it getting caught in the getting caught in the box and getting torn up. I have had that happen with cards before, so if you're mailing a card, be sure that if it's got a lot of bulk, like my cards tend to sometimes, be sure that you protect it. I was very sad when that happened recently to me. Okay, now we're going to put this, I think I've decided I'm going to put that up there just like that. And I think to secure that down, we're going to use a glue dot. The reason I like glue dots for this is because you can roll them in your finger and you can hide them behind your element, your bow or whatever, but they have a really good adhesion. And I probably, when I'm done, will probably tack these little tails down too. So this is going to go right in there. And I'm just setting it there. I'm not pressing it because I want to decide where I'm coming with my little pearl thing there. And let's just cut some of these. Say it again, or when you're dealing with pearl bling or any kind of bling, you don't have to use the whole piece. You can cut all those designs and make them, if you just figure out where the best place to cut it is, you can make them be used in different elements. Let's go ahead and put that down. We'll put that down right about there, like that. We'll come down with this one, let it curl out right about there, just like so. I'm going to put this down just about there. Then we'll come in behind with our little stick pin, and it can actually slide quite a ways down because it's going, actually I don't want it there. Let's let it come down. I'm running it right through that foam. No, it doesn't want to run. Just put it right like that. Now, after I play with it a little bit, if it doesn't feel like it's going to stay, I can always add a little bit of glossy accents as well. And I think I'm going to pull this down. So it looks like it's free floating, but then I'm going to get a little dot of glue and put it right under the tip here to hold that down, and it'll glue it. Now there's a little bit of white on there. I'm not worried about that because it will dry clear and you won't see it, but my ribbon will kind of stay in place like it's coming out. And I'll just hold that there for a minute and let it start to adhere down. And then this one, let's take a little piece of glue here. I'll just put it right down here. This will serve two purposes. It'll kind of tack down that corner of that doily while also holding down our piece of ribbon. Alrighty, and I think that is all I'm going to do our card today. So there we have a very fancy Valentine card for someone special. Let's go ahead and trim this off just a tad. It's just a little bit longer than it needs to be. There we go. There we have it. A very pretty little Valentine. So thanks so much for stopping by today. Remember to take some time to enjoy the little things. Have a great day. Bye.